right. It's your girl, Amara Negra, and you're listening to Exactly Amara, mi amor, a production of iHeart. Thank you so much for tuning in. De corazón, muchísimas gracias. And don't forget to give us those 5 stars. Subscribe to the podcast on your favorite podcast platform. Check out my music, shows, interviews, everything I've been doing lately, because you know a girl keeps busy. On today's episode, you know what? This is such a juicy topic, and we could talk about it all day, because we're going to be talking about influencers. Influencers, the evolution of influencers. How the hell did we get here? How did we get from like when we first came up with like MySpace, your top 5 friends and all this great stuff, to all the way now where we have TikTokers and, you know, little kids doing YouTube videos and making millions and millions of dollars, and just the way that the internet and social media has evolved into the way that now people are creating careers and all that type of crazy stuff out of it. Arlene is my girl. She's in here today. Arlene, my love, how are you? And what do you think about the whole social media influencer thing?
This is a wild topic because according to the DataBridge market research, by 2029, the influencer industry is going to be worth $69 billion.
No way.
It's wild.
I better get myself in some of that.
So we have a very special guest. Y'all may recognize his sexy voice. His name is Kelvin Davis. He's going to be hopping on to help us out with this topic. He's a renowned social media expert, an influencer himself. Y'all may know him from Notoriously Dapper. Kelvin, you bring a wealth of knowledge and unique insights for this particular topic. Join us, bring on your energy, and tell us how you feel about this topic.
Yeah. All right, let's get it.
Get it.
Thank you for having me again. I'm going to go ahead and start off by giving myself my own flowers. Because I'm one of the OGs. I'm one of the originators. Like, I'm talking like back 2012. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about 11 years in the game.
Okay.
Everybody wants to show their highlights. Don't nobody want to talk about the realness of what they go through in life. There's a lot of non-transparency. People be lying.
Yeah, I know that's right.
Yeah. They be lying, saying they got this and that and how they got it. And
it's baloney. It's a fake perfection of a lifestyle that you really don't have. Why don't you talk about when you ain't got no money? You ain't got no gas money. Why don't you talk about when you can't pay your bills? Why can't we, because I know you and I discussed it in a past episode, why can't you be vulnerable publicly without feeling like you're judging people to actually come and comfort you and be part of a community, of a society where we're here for each other? Why can't we do that? You know, why don't you say that outfit, that Versace you got on, you're going to go back and return and get your money back? Why aren't we speaking the truth about it? And let me tell you, once upon a time, I learned from an influencer. She was like, I was like, damn, bitch, you be eating real good. Like, where do you be going? She's like, I be going to Google. And I'm like, how do you do that? She's like, oh, yeah. I just go to Google. I search whatever restaurant or like really nice. And you can actually look for it, like Instagram highlight food. And the food, whoever else took the picture, she'll just screenshot it, put it in her Insta story, and it makes it look like she was eating it. And I was like, you really weren't there? She was like, no, I was home. So now you can't trust it. You cannot trust it. They be showcasing this bougie life that they really aren't living. They'll, you know, and I think that's fine to a certain extent, because coming from an artist, coming from an influencer myself, a celebrity, or whatever the case may be, a public figure, I've done it. You know, I've done it because part of this is really what an artist is. Besides the talent, because I think that back in the days, it was more about the talent than it is now. It's about the illusion, the fantasy. It's a fantasy. I am going to showcase you the lifestyle that you wish you could live, but you can't, right? Because of financial, because of whatever the case may be. So the artist gives you the illusion, all the luxury, the jewelry, the bags, the cars, the food, the this. That's why we follow these women. That's why we follow these artists. They are here throwing money up in the air, but when the camera's off, they're right there picking it up, right? But you don't see that part. So it's kind of good because it's like, wow, I love this lifestyle when you perceive it, when you see it, but it's bad because it also makes people feel as if they have to live that same lifestyle, you know? But at the same time, not necessarily all of it is fake. I've seen a lot of people that made a lot of money from social media, and they are creating a lifestyle for themselves.
There's so much money to be made up for brand deals, especially when you market yourself. Like, you know, for me, you know, I make a decent amount of money being an influencer. And, you know, I'm very marketable to like brands that are like Target, Gap, all those kind of brands, right? You know, I'm very marketable to those brands because of the way I present my image, you know, and this is really who I am. You know what I mean? Like, this is cut dry Kelvin Conrad Davis II. So I've always worn the hats. I've always, you know, dressed really fly. I've always, you know, said what's on my mind. I've always been very adamant about equal rights for everybody. It just so happened that I was able to make money from it. And why not?
But in your case, because as a man, I don't know exactly how it works, right? But there's so many people that are listening to you or looking at you like, you know what? I kind of look like him, or I want to look like him. I want to do what he's doing. How do you make money as an influencer? How does that even start? Do you approach the companies? The companies approach you? Do you have an agency? The agency, do they get a commit? Because that's another thing. You may see that there's a lot of money coming in, but do they get a commission from it? How does the life of an influencer for a man work?
I didn't get an agency until 2017. So prior to that, from 2012 to 2017, I was doing everything on my own. I was running my blog, my Instagram, taking content, doing all this stuff. And honestly, you know, I didn't even realize that I could get paid off of doing the stuff I was doing until I went to New York Men's Fashion Week in 2016. And I met some of the men that I idolized or like followed from like, you know, the same, you know, the same place that we're in. And they were telling me, you know, like, you must make so much money. I said, I don't make any money. I was like, I'm still a middle school art teacher. I do this for fun. And all these guys are making like hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. They put me on game. But they were like, no, you need to tell this brand that you're not going to do it unless they pay you X amount of dollars. I said, but what if they say no? And he was like, well, then don't do it. I was like, but I kind of want the free clothes.
Right.
He basically was like, you got to stop doing stuff for free clothing because that's the way that the brand gets free marketing. And all they do is write off the clothing that they gave to you as a gift.
Now we're also seeing a lot of the younger generation, meaning like the little ones under 15 or even under 18, who are creating this content and making millions of dollars. Like, for example, I saw these little, I think that they're from Australia, some little boys that are opening, you know, toys on YouTube, and they're paying them millions of dollars to showcase what the toys do and all these other things. It's great because you can create a brand for your children, for themselves, and a bank account, and you can do all those things. But I also am starting to see a lot of younger people, or a lot of the girls and men now, that don't want to work anymore. I don't want to go to college. I don't care for an education. I don't care for anything else. I want to be an influencer. I want to be an influencer. I want to make money, and that's all I'm going to do. And this is my life. If tomorrow social media were to disappear, which I truly doubt it, but if it were to disappear, then what happens to you now? Because I saw that back then during COVID, I think there was a point where Instagram kind of got frozen, you know, for like, I don't know, maybe 48 hours. It was just having a lot of issues. And there was a girl who almost committed suicide because she was so sick. She was sick to her stomach to know that she couldn't go into her social media to make money, because that's a way of making money. This is really a lot of people's job. It's just social media. So I find how interesting it's become, how this device has completely changed the world and the society that we live in. We're financially dependent on it. We are consistently looking for validation based off how many likes or comments you get. Marriages are falling apart in many occasions because of this social media platform, where now, so Instagram, for example, has become a menu of women. You could just pick whoever you want, slide up in their DMs, and buy them a little flight, in many occasions, a little Spirit flight for $60. And now you can have whoever you want. Like, it's wild. It's a gift and a curse, don't you think?
100, yeah. It definitely is. It's definitely a gift and a curse. I think especially with this younger generation, it's more of a curse for them because, you know, we grew up in a time where we had, you know, the MySpace, and then, you know, we also grew up with CDs. We, you know, like we saw the evolution of how technology, and we, you know, know how to live without it to a certain extent.
Right.
But this newer generation, it's a curse for them because not only do they think that this is what reality is, Number one. Number two is when you take it away from them, they don't know how to exist. And that to me is detrimental, because when I take my cell phone away from both of my kids, I'm like, you can't have your cell phone, like no more watching on the TV. We're going to play Scrabble. You would have think that I took everything away from them. You would have Scrabble. I don't want to play Scrabble. I'm like, what the heck? Y'all don't want to like spell words together and have family time and have this vibe. You know what I mean?
A lot of people don't even know how to spell words anymore because you have spell check. And I am one of those. I'm not even like, sometimes I have to think really hard because the phone has become so accessible that sometimes I don't even have to write it out. As a matter of fact, I could just talk to it and it'll write the whole paragraph. Siri got my back. So I feel like, it makes you smart in a way. It also makes you dumb in a way, but it is true. We're so caught up doing TikToks, especially now all day. Everybody's out here being an influencer, doing TikToks where you're no longer spending time with your family. You're no longer doing physical activities. And I just feel like, like I said before, we're creating this fantasy world that in many occasions is not true. But when it financially has become so rewarding for so many people, everybody wants to do the same. I am one of those that social media, for example, kept me alive during COVID.
Same.
There were so many brands and so many other things that I was doing that it was like, you know what? I'm just going to do this. And that was paying my bills and then some. Do you ever think social media is going to disappear? The evolution of Instagram and Twitter and TikTok, do you think is ever going to die away, or is it going to evolve like once upon a time we were in MySpace and we thought that was the shit? And then we got Instagram. It's like, so do you think there'll be anything else that's going to top this?
I don't know if anything else will top it. I do think that there is going to be an awakening. And I think the awakening is going to come whenever this generation gets older and they have kids.
Okay.
And I think whenever they have their kids, I think what they're going to implement in their households and how they raise their kids is going to take away from what social media is, because they are going to see how much trauma they had to go through from all of the, trying to keep up with, body image, from bullying, from all these different things. And they're going to want to protect their children from it. It's the same way I feel as though, when children used to get spankings, and now, people don't beat their kids anymore.
And I've also seen how, like, a lot of them, I think that the younger generation really gets it because they're like the TikTokers. I'm not really the TikToker. Yeah. I know there's a lot of people trying to get hip and still be part of that, and that's fine too. And now I also feel like there's so many, the involvement of it was great when it was just one. But then now we have Snapchat, Twitter, TikTok, they got there's so many different ones. It's hard to keep up. And I don't know if is it that I'm getting older, I can't manage all of them because it's like, I'm posting this video here, but I got to go talk about it on Twitter here. But then my other videos, my exclusive is on my Snapchat. But then at the same time, I want to make sure that my TikTok dancers over here see me dancing. It's like, como que it's too much. Is it me or what?
No, it's not you. There's so many different platforms. Then there's this new thing called Be Real. Have you ever heard of that?
Oh my gosh. No, what is that?
Okay, so Be Real is like a social media app, and they market their saying by saying we're not a social media app. It triggers you to take a photo in real time. And what it does is it takes a photo of you facing the camera and whatever is facing the camera simultaneously. And it's like you add like a location to where you are, and it's like be real. It's like be your authentic self. So it's kind of like if you're like somewhere shopping for flowers and you get like a notification on your phone, it's time to be real. You take it and you snap a photo of you buying flowers, and you're like, I'm getting flowers at Trader Joe's. And you just post
that sounds very stalkerish. It sounds very like, you know what? I'm going to let you know, government, exactly where I am, which they're doing it regardless. But I just feel like that may be too much information. If you pay attention to, let's talk about this too. If you pay attention to social media and the evolution of it, let's also think that the government, which are, strongly fighting about this TikTok thing, the government has a big influence on what you're watching, when you're watching it, and, all this, all around. When Instagram came and they came up with the filter, let's be clear on the fact that you're literally showcasing, right, face identification. You thought originally we thought it was the little flowers, little flowers in the head on Snapchat when it first came out. Ma'am, right now, as you get older, they're capturing every single detail of your face as you get older, and you are just giving it to them. So you have that, now with this new app, you're giving them your location consistently. They can track you consistently visually of where you're. I'm hoping you're not planning on doing anything crazy, but you just never know who else also has access to that information. So for security purposes, we also have to be a little bit careful on the way that we use this, don't we?
Of course, yeah. I've only used Be Real like a couple of times, and it's usually when I'm traveling. Okay. I don't do it when I'm here in my home city because, I just don't know. Like somebody could be like, oh, well, Kelvin was just at Whole Foods. I'm about to run up on them. You know what I'm saying? And God forbid if they did.
Now, talking about the evolution of social media, I also want to get into something that has also become very trendy and very popular. And it's, for example, OnlyFans. OnlyFans originally, to my understanding, came about just being able to have exclusive content for the people that really wanted to see your business, your art, what you were into, exclusive content musically, whatever. One thing led to the other. And during the pandemic, during COVID, it became a really thing to, let me just not give you exclusive content of my music, my art, or what else I'm doing or business. Let me start off with a little, bathing suit. That bathing suit being sexy evolved into now it's a porn site to me, right?
Well, yeah, it is.
Shout out to everybody who's out there making their money. Cause I know a guest that I had at once upon a time who made over like $600,000 a month. Right?
What?
Right. Of creating OnlyFans content. Wow. And people are there paying. And also when you subscribe, unless you unsubscribe, your little, $10.99 or $20 a month is coming out every month, whether you watch or don't watch, or you forgot that you follow this person, that is consistently coming out. And if you can find the correct marketing company to promote your brand, your page, or whatever, you're making thousands of dollars. And they were, by the way, reinvesting it in real estate just to watch you naked. But it went from you can be sexy, be who you are, to now it's all the way out here because this is coming from your regular, employee, your regular teacher, your regular Uber driver who financially can't stay afloat and also wants to become an influencer. So being an influencer now is not just you didn't educate yourself or you didn't study, you didn't prepare yourself. There's no school for it. Just go out there and be funny, sing a song, create a dance, show your ass, I don't know, do something. And then now you become an influencer.
That's true though.
Should it just be that easy?
No, it shouldn't. I mean, I come from a time where, I really had to put a digital footprint in the ground to become notoriously dapper, to become Kelvin Davis, to have this notoriety, to have this kind of popularity, like to be able to become an author, all these things. I had to put a digital footprint down that did not require me, doing the things that people have to do now. Now, I will say, Amara, I'm not even going to cap. I'm going to be 100% with you. Okay. In October, I almost made an OnlyFans. Hey, I'm going to keep it a buck. Okay. And the only reason why I did it was because my lawyer was like, look, you're still in the middle of your divorce litigation. That's not the best idea for you to go on OnlyFans and show you did. I said, okay.
Well, listen.
So I did it.
I thought about it too. Listen, at the end of the day, everybody wants to financially be afloat. And that's why social media has become such a thing. Not only because we have to think about influencer. You influence the way that our culture moves. Your community perceives you, what's trendy, what's not. Financially, is doing great things for many people, not for all. Like, it keeps growing and it keeps changing in different ways. And I don't judge you if you do OnlyFans. I thought about it too. Shoot, I would have gotten me some coins if I would have, make this booty clap.
100%.
But then I also think about how the internet keeps this information. And maybe later on in my lifetime when I, now when I have children and this and that, or if I want to run for president, I don't know, get another job. How will the things that you do in your past, how will the things that you do on social media affect your future at the long run? And many times you think like, oh, it doesn't matter. sometimes haven't you seen how they'll be like, oh, back in 2014, you posted this. And people can track it. I think we have to be a little bit careful too with what type of content, what type of information we're putting out there. But I do say social media is growing, is evolving, is becoming better for some, worse for others. We become codependent on it in many ways. I hope it never dies out because I need it. Shoot, I'm making some coins right there too. Snap.
But yeah. You know what I mean?
But we have to be careful, though. We have to be careful. Yeah. And you know what? How about this, Kelvin? What can the people take home with this conversation? What would be your advice or the wrap up for you for this conversation today?
I would say for them, to take a social media break. It's like, it is okay for you to sometimes put the phone down or put the tablet away and go live your own life. I mean, I took a social media break a couple months ago, and it was very liberating for me. It was very liberating, because you forget about how sometimes people forget how to interact with the outside world because they're too consumed on the inside world on their phone.
Talk about
because half the things that you would say on this phone, you would never say to somebody face to face. Ain't nobody that damn brave. Ain't no man in the world that brave to go up to a woman and send what you said in a DM face to face. Yeah. You ain't that cold, brother. Yeah. You ain't that cold.
Yeah.
And it gives people this false sense of confidence too. Cause it's like in the real world, you're not about that. You're not about to go up to her and say that. You're not going to go to him and say that. But behind these little fingers, you'll say and do whatever you want to, because the chances of you running into them in public unplanned is highly unlikely. Right. Mm-hmm. So I really encourage people to find confidence within themselves and not through social media, and really don't look at social media as the end all be all to how everybody lives, because that's not how everybody living.
You know what? I love that you said that. And you know what? That's what you can take home. Take that home, okay? By the way, if anybody wants to follow you, check you out, where can they go?
They can find me on Instagram at Kelvin Davis, Facebook at Notoriously Dapper, and NotoriouslyDapper.com.
Thank you so much for being part of Exactly Amara. I can't thank you enough. Also, go follow me at my social media platforms at Amara La Negra ALN. And remember that this has been a production of iHeart's My Cultura podcast network. And for more podcasts from iHeart, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows. This has been Exactly Amara.